We've seen it top our headlines too many times. We're talking about an active shooter situation. Today, nursing students at Indiana State University and Ivy Tech experienced what a disaster like this could look like. It's a mass casualty drill hosted by Union and regional hospitals. The training may look elaborate, but professors say this is a lesson that cannot be taught from a textbook. And many nursing students agree this training is extremely valuable.
I hope other people get more experience out of it. I want to see what happens if it was going to be a situation like this. I hope to be in the ER eventually, so I think it'll be good for me.
Mass shootings are unpredictable, and professors say preparations like the drill exercise today give students an edge if they ever have to experience this type of emergency.
Real-time, realistic training at Hartford Hospital today.
A mass casualty drill was carried out in order to be ready to respond to a case in which dozens of patients pour into the hospital at the same time. News 8's anchor Scott McDonald joins us with the story. Scott.
That's right, guys. As frightening as it sounds, the purpose is to prepare 20 resident physicians specializing in emergency medicine. The scenario, an explosion at the XL Center in Hartford. 35 patients rushed to the ER. Today, the patients are mannequins and actors, and the ER is the Center for Education, Simulation, and Innovation, CESI, at Hartford Hospital. Chest wounds, burns, fractures, all combining for chaos that needs to be calmed and for patients that need to be cared for.
I want them to walk away with the confidence to be able to deal with a situation like this, because most of them know how to deal with the injuries. We deal with those every day on a one-by-one basis, but they need that extra confidence in order to be directing the situation and dealing with a large volume of patients.
As the events around the world keep happening where people want to do harm to a lot of people, I think we are obligated to practice and train. So if this were to happen, we're better prepared to serve the people.
Now, as tough as it is to stay focused in that environment, the situation got even more chaotic when a mock explosion inside the ER takes place as well, adding even more patients who need immediate treatment. Doctors say leadership and communication, all skills vital to saving lives when a real mass casualty event takes place.
Across Central Florida are holding disaster drills today. News 6 reporter Mark Layman's at Central Florida Regional, where the staff took part in a simulated terror attack.
The setup today at this and other hospitals is elaborate, but that's because organizers want to make this as realistic as possible. Workers spending hours going through a disaster scenario so they're prepared if a real one hits. Like a well-oiled machine, once the call comes in, the response team jumps into action.
Like 2 people there, 1 here.
Central Florida Regional in Sanford is one of 15 hospitals taking part in the full-scale disaster exercise. Dozens of volunteered victims being rushed in after a chemical attack scenario in Orlando.
I'm quadriplegic, so I can't move my joints.
Ashley Smith is one of those victims. As a nursing student, she's using it as a learning experience.
During stuff like this, you really learn how you work together, how you stay calm.
And it's the same for hospital staff.
The key to making a disaster response go well is collaboration.
Hospital administrators say whether big or small, they learn something during every exercise like this, helping make sure they're prepared no matter what.
Rest assured, we're practicing and we're ready.
The important thing to remember during all of this is that even during a training exercise, hospitals have to be prepared to take on actual emergencies as well. Organizers of this event say after today, they're going to be taking a look at what they learned and if anything needs to change.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Before I get into this video, I just want to give a shout out to the channel Shaking My Head Productions. I saw that he had posted a video as one of the video clips as well earlier, and I always like to give shout outs to other channels. I don't like to steal anyone's work. Unlike somebody who drives around in their car looking for Sasquatch, you dig, all the time and steals other people's work. I don't like to do that. So a shout out to his channel, leave it linked up below. As if it's not insane enough, these drills that they constantly have, these mock drills, you would think that people would go, why are they, doing this, right? And they go, well, it's because we're trying to prepare in case something happens so we all know what to do. Well, do you really need to prepare by covering people up in blood, actually making fake wounds and stuff as if it's like, a haunted hayride? The reason that they do this is so they can blur the lines between reality and fiction, right? They hold these mock drills all the time around this country, and people go, oh, yeah, that's just normal. We should be having mock shooter drills. We should be having, actual mock shooter drills where a shooter is running into the school, and then we're going to have all the kids in the school, role play, and then we're going to have a group of kids in the school. We're going to paint them up and put blood on their faces and put wounds on their body, and the guy's going to have a gun that sounds real but doesn't fire anything. I mean, is that necessary? Well, it's necessary because that's how they create these fake events, by having these fake drills. And you can see that it's going on this week specifically. There is a bunch going on around America, in Florida, in Long Island, Miami specifically in Florida, Indiana, to name a few. I think it's a little suspicious that there's so many going on within this period of time this week. Plus, we have what we're seeing going on over in Syria. Now, this specific one in Long Island, you could see, it says, the hospital in Riverhead was staging a mass casualty drill dubbed Operation Black Swan 2018. The annual exercise brings hundreds of people together from multiple agencies, including law enforcement, EMS, Homeland Security, and public health groups to sharpen their skills in a simulated mass casualty event at the hospital. I mean, really? You know what I mean? I mean, why does it have to take place at the actual hospital? Why do they need to run these drills at the actual hospital? I mean, there's nobody in the hospital. They have nothing to do. That they got to run these things. They run them because they can use these events. They create these simulated events, and they pass them off to the public as if they're real. It says multiple victim actors were on hand who were being... oh, my goodness. Multiple victim actors were on hand due to the activity in the area. The streets were shut down between the traffic circle and the middle road in front of the hospital through 12:30 in the afternoon. You can see somebody tweeted, mass casualty happening right now at the Bay Medical Center. If you see flashing lights and hear sirens, don't be alarmed, right? I mean, talk about confusing people. How does this seem normal to the people out there? And I know they can just pass it off and they can go, well, they need to practice. In the event that something goes on, we're seeing stuff go on with over in Syria and Russia. I mean, people need to be prepared for a chemical attack, a chemical weapons attack, right? So they're doing these simulated events. And then what they can do is obviously pass these off as real when they want to. And all these actors are hired. I mean, it's the same exact thing. And people don't realize it because they blur the lines by doing this stuff. And people are just like, oh, okay, if they want, if this is an exercise for them to become better at it. I mean, huh? You're simulating wounds. Or people running 100 miles an hour as fast as they possibly can to rescue these people in this simulated drill, and going into burning buildings and all this type of stuff. I mean, talk about a joke. All they're doing is simulating, putting people on stretchers, wheeling them in and out. And the real simulation is all these actors that they hired, painting them up so it looks realistic. I mean, that's the real simulation that's going on. Right? The rest of the stuff is just nothing. It's like, all right, we're going to wheel in some ambulances and we're going to practice, making sure that the crisis actors look like they're actually bleeding, like it's a real wound. Because guess what? So many times, so many people, channels like Russian Vids and Jeff C. and so many guys have called these people out by looking at the actual evidence from these events and showing there's no wounds, there's nothing here, there's no blood. They look like dummies. And now, so they stage these things before. And that is the reason why, because they know that people online are critiquing these things. They're literally slowing down frame by frame, going through all this stuff, showing that these wounds aren't real, that no one was hurt. They're doing that. And there's no blood, there's no injury, people on cell phones smiling and laughing. And that's why you're seeing channels like Vice come out with videos on crisis actors and having, the Hogster tell everyone to go F themselves and all this stuff, over and over. And people are pointing out, and in the video, they make sure that they point out, oh man, they'll put a circle around this and they'll say, look, a victim's on their cell phone, so they can't be hurt. They're doing everything they possibly can to deflect. But now at these simulated events, they're doing everything they possibly can to make sure, they're not running these events going, okay, we're going to get all the EMTs and all these people, these emergency responders, And we're going to run a drill where we're going to, the body's going to be inside this burning building, and, we won't really burn the building, but, you got to get up and you got to get back in, 90 seconds, right? Like a firefighter, fireman's test or something. Instead, the focus seems to be on simulating what the victims look like. They're putting more time and effort into what these people are looking like. Oh, man, look at the blood. Look at the wound. Right? That seems to be the real care. So why would that be the real care and the real focus of these drills? Think about it. Because this is how they're going to simulate it, and this is how they do it, right? And they're putting more of an emphasis on making sure that these victims look like they're really wounded. And I guarantee you that these DMLAs, these secret society orders are going through the ringer right now with their crisis actors. These plants that they put in these positions, they're going through the ringer. They're going, look, you better, you can't laugh, you can't change your story, because how bad have we seen the crisis actors get in the last couple of years? I mean, they've gotten worse and worse to the point where you could put on, a movie like a D-level horror movie and find better acting with, people who are atrocious, like Troll 2, You ever see the guy in Troll 2? Possibly the worst acting you'll ever see in your life. Unless, of course, you compare his reel to some of these people that we're seeing come out at these events. So, again, the emphasis is on the victims' wounds. The emphasis isn't on the drill as much, right? And they're showing you how they're doing this stuff because, listen, this is how the operations get done. These are all drills. These are all staged events, okay? They're showing you this out in the open. And why would they focus so much on the wounds if these are staged events? Staged drills that they're running? Why would they focus so much on the blood and stuff, right? It's not like, the doctor can come in and actually do surgery on someone. Couldn't they just go, okay, this person was shot here. What would you do, AMT? Oh, okay, well, I would, grab this and I would wrap the wound. Instead, they actually have to simulate it with blood. Think about it. I mean, it literally looks like a haunted hayride. That's how ridiculous this stuff is. So I just wanted to point out there's a bunch of these going on around America this week specifically. So it's something to keep your eye on. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.